world does not end with explosions or alarms, it ends quietly, and by the time people realize something is wrong, it is already too late. A strange virus begins spreading across Europe. The news calls it an infection, the government calls it controlled. But the videos online tell a different story. People attacking people, people running like animals, people losing themselves in minutes. While everyone else panics, one man chooses logic. His name is Maynel, and instead of running outside like everyone else, he locks himself inside his apartment, boards up the doors, blocks the windows, stockpiles food, and decides that isolation is the smartest way to survive the end of the world. At first, it works. Days pass, then weeks, and the streets outside grow emptier and quieter, cars abandoned mid-road, shops looted and destroyed, the city slowly turning into a graveyard. The radio keeps broadcasting emergency messages, cities falling one by one, borders collapsing, the infection mutating faster than scientists can track it. Maynel watches everything from above, convincing himself that staying alone means staying alive, until one night he hears screaming echo through the building, raw and desperate, followed by sounds that do not belong to a human body. He looks outside and sees infected humans moving with terrifying speed, chasing survivors through the streets, tackling them, tearing into them without hesitation. These are not slow zombies. They are fast, aggressive, relentless, and worst of all, they do not stop. Maynel realizes the truth in that moment. The virus is not just killing people, it is replacing them. His apartment that once felt safe now feels like a trap, because isolation only works when the world outside still exists, and that world is already gone. As supplies start running low, the building becomes dangerous, infected neighbors wander the halls, screams come from behind locked doors, and one knock nearly ends everything when a woman begs to be let in, crying for help, sounding human, until her face twists into something wrong, and she attacks another resident without warning. That moment changes Maynel completely, because hesitation now means death. Power shuts off, water stops running, the last connection to civilization disappears, and Maynel understands that staying inside will only delay the inevitable. With nothing but a backpack, improvised weapons, and his dog Lucullo, he steps into the streets, and the city feels dead in a way that words cannot describe. Every sound matters, every shadow could hide an infected, every corner could be the last one he ever turns. When the infected appear, they do not stumble, they sprint, forcing him to run for his life, barely escaping with injuries that remind him how close death really is. As he moves through abandoned buildings and empty highways, he begins to notice something terrifying. The infected are not random. They respond to noise, they chase in groups, and sometimes they seem to anticipate movement, as if the virus is learning through them. Maynel keeps moving because stopping means dying, but survival comes at a cost. Sleep becomes rare, fear becomes constant, and trust becomes impossible. The radio continues to whisper rumors of safe zones and military evacuations, giving him just enough hope to keep going, even though deep down he knows that hope is often the most dangerous thing left in a dying world. The further Maynel travels, the clearer it becomes that the infection is only half the problem, because the survivors who remain are no longer the people they used to be. Small groups fight over food, ambush travelers, and kill without hesitation, justifying it as survival. At first, cooperation seems possible. People share supplies, exchange information, and move together for safety, but desperation turns alliances into traps. Maynel witnesses betrayal firsthand, survivors luring others into danger to steal from them, using the infected as weapons, sacrificing strangers to buy themselves time. One encounter nearly kills him when a group pretends to help, only to attack once his guard is down, proving a brutal truth. The world did not just collapse, it removed consequences. Humans are no longer bound by laws or morality, only by hunger and fear, making them more unpredictable than the infected. As Maynel escapes once again, wounded and exhausted, the radio announces a military extraction point still active, and for the first time in a long while, hope feels real. Reaching it means crossing heavily infected zones, but standing still guarantees death, so he moves forward not because he believes in rescue, but because moving is the only way to stay alive. When Maynel finally reaches the military zone, the illusion of safety shatters instantly. Soldiers are overwhelmed, resources are nearly gone, and panic spreads faster than discipline. The truth comes out quickly. The virus is mutating. Some infected resist gunfire longer, others move with disturbing coordination, and containment is no longer possible. Evacuations are promised, then delayed, then abandoned, as command collapses and soldiers prioritize their own survival. Chaos erupts when the infected breach the perimeter, civilians are left behind, screams fill the air, and order disintegrates in minutes. Maynel escapes through pure instinct, watching the last symbol of authority fall apart behind him. In that moment, something inside him dies as well, because if the military cannot hold the line, then no one can. Civilization is officially over, and survival is no longer about reaching safety. It is about lasting one more day. With no destination left, Maynel heads toward the coast, believing the sea might offer isolation without walls closing in. The journey strips away what remains of his old self, every loss hardening him further, every close call teaching him to act without hesitation. When Loculo nearly dies, the fear hits deeper than any infected attack, reminding him that attachments are both strength and weakness. At the coast, desperation peaks as survivors fight over boats, infected swarm from inland, and escape becomes a brutal competition. Maynel is forced to make choices he never imagined, choosing survival over compassion, movement over mercy, because stopping even once means being consumed. By the time he reaches the water, the man who once believed logic could save him is gone, replaced by someone shaped entirely by the world's collapse. Maynel escapes by sea, drifting away from the ruins of humanity with no destination, no rescue signal, and no certainty of survival. The infection continues spreading inland, the radio falls silent, and the future becomes an empty horizon. There is no victory, no cure, no closure, only continuation. Apocalypse Z is not about zombies taking over the world. It is about how quickly normal life disappears and how thin the line is between civilization and chaos. It shows that the end does not come all at once. It comes decision by decision, fear by fear, until the world you knew no longer exists and the person you were cannot survive in what replaces it. In the end, Apocalypse Z leaves one question behind, not how the world ended, but what it cost to stay alive. When everything collapses, rules vanish, and survival becomes the only law, humanity itself becomes optional. Maynel survives, but survival is not the same as winning, and isolation is no longer safety. It is simply another form of waiting. The real horror is not the infected outside. It is how easily people adapt to a world without consequences. Because once the world ends, it does not come back. It only moves forward with whoever is left standing.